Okay, this will be a short commentary of how to do fifth room as trench tank. So all fifth room is you pulling away aggro, taking captain, and then doing the fury ball. So whenever you are a TT, there might be mobs somewhere over here that you might have to pull away for the MLK. So it could be these titans over here, which could be over here. This torch web group could also be somewhere over here. So if there's ever mobs in the way, you need to run this way and then pull everything towards the other side of the room so the MLK can sneak past over here. So there really isn't much to taking captain. You just have to be aware of a few patrol timings to be a bit more consistent. So the first patrol to watch out for is this patrol. Usually the MLK can trigger it super early if they're quick to leave the room, but don't depend on it. So this patrol will spawn somewhere over here, and it's going to patrol this way, and then it will eventually end up patrolling all the way towards the center of fifth room. But it takes a while for it to do that. So since you're pulling away a bunch of mobs in your captain, you want to be able to pull them as far as you can to where when you stance out to take captain, nothing breaks onto you and still attacks you. And since these torture webs are longbow range, you have to make sure you aggro them pretty close to general or captain, so that when you pull towards this giant bucket over here, the torture webs won't end up breaking towards you or breaking towards captain when you're trying to pull them away. Because captain can very easily just get targeted, and he will get completely destroyed if you break too much stuff whenever you stance out. So usually when they're right around this pillar here is when I'll aggro them. So I'll run up, aggro everything, this Mario group, the Titan group, and this, and then I will like Haas off it sometimes, and then I put an SOH. So the next group to watch out for is these Titans. So these Titans will spawn over here, and they can also be triggered by the MLK if he's super quick, and they patrol this way. They will patrol this way, then they'll run like somewhere over here, and then after that, I don't remember. But the goal is, again, to aggro it as close to captain as possible. So usually I'll wait till they're somewhere around here, which is a really good timing. They don't break as quickly or as easily as the torture webs, because they're going to be right on top of you, and they're all usually going to be settled on you. So if one of them starts to break, usually the other 4 or 5 will stay on you. So it's not that big of a deal if one starts to break before you stance out. But you just want to make sure that they aren't breaking, that they don't break entirely, because they'll end up on top of captain, and taking captain when you have titans on you is not a good idea. So once you aggro that last Titan group, you want to sidestep all the way over here behind this bucket. That way you can block the run that is attacking you, so he doesn't wild throw you, because you don't want him to get adrenaline. And also it blocks the tucks as well, and the tucks will drain your energy, and that gets really annoying really quick. So I like to pull everything to the side of this bucket, and then I'll kind of just hug the side over here and then just sit here. So some things to note is if you are unsure of when captain should be taken, and you're worried about your SOH timing, always look at the party chat. If you see the general dialogue, that means somebody is in casting range of the snake, so it gives you a good idea for how much longer you have to wait out here with your Shadow of Haste. And also, always make sure you take captain after Silzesh and general. If you take captain before general is taken, whenever they take general, he's going to stand still for a good solid 2 seconds, and that can easily cause problems with the snake getting stuck or him getting damaged a lot, and it can just cause a mess. So always make sure Silzesh and general is taken. And also, if I'm on TeamSpeak Discord with the MLK and they're not pinging already, which they should ping as soon as they get there, I'll usually call it out and tell them to ping. That way I can just stance out, take the quest, and then, by the way, this whole time I'm always on my shield set. I never swap to my staff. because whenever I stance out and take captain, I like to swap to my staff, have the 20 energy, which is the requirement in QZ to cast recall. I cast recall, then I stand still. So if you do ever have aggro on you while you're right after you take captain, whether it's this group or some groups didn't break, make sure you stand still. If captain runs away immediately whenever you take him, and you're standing completely still, the mobs almost never attack him. So it takes a second or two for the mobs to even notice that the captain is part of the party and they can attack him. So if you stand still, none of the mobs will swap off you, basically. And so this next part is Fury. Also, if you're a TT or MLK, if the team is way behind, make sure you don't run into the circle and trigger Black Beast, because it's really annoying for the IU. And also, if something happens to the snakes over here and people are panicking, they can aggro the Titans when running fast, and that's always nice and fun. So for Fury, make sure you always have SF up during this whole time, because you never know when somebody can just randomly decide to take Fury. People can get really inconsistent with when they take Fury. People can wait like 10 seconds after the snakes are out of the party, and then you can just forget to cast SF. But for Fury, I always stand on this bone, which is to the south of this rock, and I put the SOH on the north side of the rock. So what I like to do is I always have a consistent SOH spot, and I put it in the same spot every time. So when the Fury spawns, I pull it in such a way that my stance will always put the mobs in the ball. Now what you can also do is put an SOH based on where they spawn, because the Fury can spawn anywhere in this like giant circle. So it could be all the way to the side over here, all the way to the side over here. It can just vary. It's just RNG. So you can either, free ball it and just put SOH based on where they spawn, or just put SOH in the same spot every time, but then have to pull it different each time. So if you put SOH on the little bone where I did, I try to just sidestep. You can speed boost as well, but then you leave the keys and the Fury out, and people like to get their chest and they get greedy. So if you speed boost and break the 2 keys in the Fury, people can just run straight in and decide to get aggro because they're just not paying attention. So I don't like to do that. But I always try to pull everything to the west side of the rock, which is this side. And then I just sidestep, and then I try to go somewhere on the middle of this wall over here. So if you pull to the middle of that hill, it gives you a pretty decent ball sometimes. But if you notice, if I were to stance out now, then the keys would be out of the ball because they have a shorter range. But going up that hill, just that tiny bit, just helps a little bit with the pull. As you can see, if you just like walk like a little bit towards this direction, then the mobs in the back can take a step forward. But basically, once you pull to that wall and all the mobs are the closest they're going to get to you, you just stance out and you stand still. And the Furies run in. So if one of them is ever lagging behind, you just need to like take a little step towards the team, but don't go too far because you might overpull and you might just run aggro straight into the mesmers. But other than that, you just stand completely still, and if there's like one key or one enemy left, then you can start running. But other than that, that is how I do Fury or Fifth Room in general. If you have any questions, you can PM me in game. But thank you for watching.